and focused, talking to himself. Both players getting in the zone here as we get into map number 1.
In the bottom right from NC Sports, he is Serral. And in the top left in the blue from Kaiser Gaming, this is Innovation.
Ephemeron to kick things off in this Terran versus Zerg. Innovation, a big fan recently with those 8 barracks pushes. We've seen a lot of that. Just one factory producing tanks all game long, 8 barracks, and a huge stream of bio just parading across the map. Seems like a pretty good map to start with that sort of strategy here on Ephemeron. It's definitely one of the maps where we've seen it have success before.
Yeah, it's not as long as a walk. It feels like it is, or it is, but there are actually some unupgraded marine walks as well that you just go across the map with a few factory units and just DPS down early hatcheries. That's like an uncommon thing. Stuff like that, of course, Serral is, you know, a previous world champion, something that Innovation hasn't been able to add to his accolade of many, many, many results and awards, is he has never been a world champion. And part of the reason why Serral has been a world champion is not only because mechanically, multitasking, everything, he has a 10 out of 10 stat in, he also prepares so well for his opponents. No doubt he has watched all of Innovation's VODs recently from the tournaments. And hopefully, even though I know Inno likes to flex a little bit and not take the foreigners too seriously, it would be suicidal to not prepare for Serral.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody comes in here, even before the tournament begins. I think he's the player who you think about, and you have some idea of some of the tricks you might pull out of that bag if you do face off against him. And definitely something you'll have to keep in mind here. Thinking, of course, about the one series Serral lost in this tournament was to Hurricane, and it was mostly due to his scouting being blocked, especially by Phoenix plays. So obviously a different matchup, but really I feel that Serral, normally his strength is his scouting. The fact that he always sees what's going on and he absolutely respects it. Even though we think of him as a large, kind of long-term macro player, I feel like all the other Zergs end up taking a lot more risks in their play. Serral, if he sees that you're being aggressive, he will 100% adapt and react his play to it. He will, if he feels the need to, stay on a much lower work account, build a lot of army, and really just work around stopping what you want to achieve in the game, rather than going on autopilot. Serral doesn't get caught out if he can get the information to do that.
And speaking of trying to get something done, Innovation going for a really quick third command center here. A greedy open from the Terran. One of the greediest you can go for without just opening yourself up to death from the Zerg. The Reaper's still alive here, dancing with the Zerg units. Just trying to get his scout off and jumping up into the main, but Serral doing a great job zoning there. There's nothing really to scout for Innovation. You know, Innovation, the scouting is key. You want to see the gases, you want to see the drones, where they are, if anything gets plopped, and lair timing, all this of stuff. At the moment, though, as we know with our cast cams, everything very stock standard here from Serral.
Yeah, and Serral would love to get the information on that, but with no Overlord speed on the way, Game 1 not crazy safe on the information. Serral not going to know about the third command center, won't be able to adapt to it, but at the same time, because he isn't going for any big expenditure, no Overlord sacrifices, no speed Overlord, he does have a bit more money to play with. So assuming he can deflect these Hellions well, it's all about Serral droning up that third base nice and quickly and then jumping up to a fourth base and protecting it. The third command center, you still see stim quite early. You're going to see a quick second and third barracks pumping out Marines, and that really is the threat with this. It's not just the fact that the third command center is down early, it's just the fact that because the Hellion production stops, because there's no starport production, the Terran gets the Marines and medevacs across the map very early, and if they can put a dent in your creep, maybe even snipe down a fourth base, from there the Terran gets very out of control. So Serral, he's just got to kind of focus on getting all the basics set up and well defended, because those Marines pushing across the map are going to come very early.
Nice pick off on that Overlord for Inno, but Serral also getting a few kills there himself, grabbing the Reaper and one of the 2 Hellions for Innovation. His lair is on the way, grabbing those extra gases as well. It's been all about the minerals here for the Finnish Zerg. So he's been trying to get his economy looking quite strong, which it absolutely is at the moment. Pig is absolutely right. There is a timing here for the Terran with this build, where there are going to be a lot of Marines with medevac support, and you can just fall over and die. But that is something that you would normally say of another Zerg. Serral's scouting usually pretty on key. However, Innovation's been doing a good job at denying it so far.
The third and fourth gas now going down for Serral as well, working up his tech tree. We are seeing the faster lair and Baneling nest variation. This means Serral is going to go for an early Baneling speed, allowing him to jump on top of any fast pushes and shut them down. This is a safer way of playing. It does delay his upgrades. So Innovation going to have a large upgrade lead. To use this correctly, though, Serral is going to need to establish map control and get more creep spread than he would in a normal game. Use the Baneling speed to really shut down the early pressures and just cover the map in that infestation.
Confirming the third base here does Serral as the Lynx pull back away from the Hellions. Doesn't want to throw any units away unnecessarily. His double Evo is about to kick in for 1-1. Baneling speed starting as soon as the Lair and Baneling nest are done. There are the Zerg upgrades kicking in. Innovation with a well-timed armory as well. His upgrade is going to be looking great if he can keep on that. That's going to finish right when 1-1's done, so the Terran can immediately go into 2-2 upgrades for his bio. And you know what? You were talking about that creep spread. It looks pretty decent at the moment here for Serral.
And I like the non-stop Ling production right now. Some people would say, why not go to 70, 75 drones, drone up the fourth mineral line? But Serral is looking for map dominance and control. Rather than giving Innovation an opening and then letting him start to run away with the game, he is in fact just going to focus on having enough units to shut down this first pressure. His creep wants to be completely uninterrupted.
He does have a bunch of Lings moving out onto the map here to attack the third base of Innovation. He knows about the drop of the Overseer Sword, and Innovation, rather Serral, is making a lot of units back at home. Good defense from Innovation, taking very small damage from that Ling.
Double drop moving in on the natural Lings.
Right on 1-1.
Far away at all. Perfectly timed here by Innovation, but the Lings on top of it shut it down. A few Marines fall. Serral's creep still moving across the map, and that is, of course, the big problem for Innovation. As this game progresses, we've seen this move towards Terrans trying to drop straight into the mineral lines, and only then off the back foot of that try to rotate around. Right now, though, another push moving down the left-hand side. There's tanks in Medivacs over there as well. That's a very scary push moving towards Serral's fourth.
It certainly is, and that's where the creep is the weakest. Speaking of which, Innovation working on it to the north side here. The north-right side of Serral's creep spread is getting gunned down by his Marines. Baneling's getting a decent connection there on 4 or so Marines, but the left side is the big story. The fourth hatchery of Serral is left wide open.
Counter Baneling drop in position. It's going to hit the third base while this is going down. There's a ton of Zergling, Baneling, Queen here, and I think with only one tank, I think Serral's good to jump on this. He can just take this out.
Oh, he's going for a flank.
Yeah, he's got to be decisive with it, and I like it. Just setting up a flank, always good up against the Terran push, only trickling a few Banelings into it, and now he closes the fist. There we go, quick pick up from Inno, but at the same time, a few SCVs go down at time. Good crisis management from Inno, though. That red hit point medevac could have been sniped by the Queens, but quick reactions as always from the Terran.
Serral has split up his forces. Nice target firing on that single Baneling there of Innovation, but doesn't quite get the trigger on that other Baneling. His bio being looked at here. Innovation doing a great job at keeping his forces alive and keeping the medevacs alive as well. A constant thorn in the side here of the Zerg. And even though he did get hit in that mineral line, he is still kicking in. What is the production on these tanks? Are these tanks stuck? Contamination from Serral to get into the tank count. Very nice play there from the Zerg. You don't see that from many Zergs at this level.
Yeah, there's a bug right now with the production overlay where contaminated buildings and depowered structures show up as it building twice until that wears off. So still is just one factory play here for Innovation, but lots of Marine Marauder production coming in. And the Zerglings looking for a big run by. They do find the wall there. No Banelings with them just yet to bust it down. But they do catch up. The wall's down.
And there's not much left here from Innovation. Serral knocking on that front door and he's knocking hard. Bringing in those Banelings. He wants those SCVs. He wants those mules. Small clusters of Marines are not going to be enough. There's some nice connections. Six SCVs go down. The mules as well being pulled off the line. Innovation's push out on the map being pulled way back, giving Serral a lot more room to breathe.
That one Marauder standing between the depot and the barracks actually survived the entire push there, watching it happen, but unfortunately just couldn't dish out enough damage to do anything about it. Innovation's whole army got pulled home. In the meantime, Serral's creepers spread across the map. These Queens, of course, the backbone of that, quickly get home. Mauling Bane coming in with a backstab once again. Serral on 80 workers. He's built that economy up to the next level. Innovation still just stuck down on 55.
A lot of Zergs will see this move out from Innovation and freak out, bring everything back, but Serral knows that he has room to actually grab some Lings and send them across the map to hurt the Terran, punish him for moving out the map. And he's going to even grab a tank here with those Banelings and a cluster of Marines. More damage at that third for Serral. Not a ton of SCV kills, but Innovation's economy nowhere near that 80 drone economy of the Zerg. But this push could potentially start to tip the scales towards the Terran's favor.
He's lost track of that army, only now realizing it's there as the scan goes down. But a great big Zergling attack on the north side. Serral once again setting up a flank on his fourth base. He's got to keep it alive. The third of Innovation is getting ransacked. He's desperate. Innovation has to do more damage right now.
Serral wants to send the Banelings in, but a lot of these Marines are off creep. This might actually be a bold maneuver, but Banelings coming in for the north side. Serral with so many more units coming in, I don't know why I doubted him. They come in from the north, from that ramp, smash that Marine count, and he has done way more critical damage to the economy of Denovation. Can he keep this hatchery alive? The answer is yes.
Yeah, hitting the third base on the north, defending on the south at the same time. A great flank, as always. The creep spread in front of this fourth, almost non-existent. Innovation is being relentless with this pressure and still maintains an army advantage. But unlike some of his other games, no 3-3 on the way. And he is trailing at just 41 SCVs to 79 drones. The Hive is almost here. Serral on 6 hatchery production, going up to 7 hatchery. Oh, and Lings find the fresh mule drop.
Very frustrating here for Innovation, splitting his units as best he can. He is off creep. This is the best possible scenario, but there's just too many Banelings, and the right side doesn't even get looked at. Innovation wiped off the face of the map here by Serral's defenses.
Yeah, just too strong. Serral there, able to swamp those forces. His creep spread here now will be able to resume. He's got too much economy. He's got too much of the